Anyone inside, make yourself known.
From insane to downright bizarre, these are the creepiest videos ever caught on camera. So stay tuned. A strange woman suddenly appeared in a house and went into the storeroom. The family, terrified by her presence, immediately called the cops. By the time the officers arrived, the woman seemed completely possessed, and from inside the storeroom came terrifying noises and sounds no one could explain. The cops tried to call her out, but fear held them back from going in too far. Even when they cautiously stepped closer, the woman remained untouchable. Then, as suddenly as she had appeared, she vanished without a trace. It's the kind of event that sticks. You may never know the truth, but it's unforgettable. Statue Spirit. Late one night, a group of friends were walking along a quiet roadside when they noticed a statue of a police officer, a man who had lost his life while protecting others. Thinking it was harmless, they began joking around and making fun of it. But suddenly, everything changed. They saw something that scared them badly. A spirit, looking exactly like the officer, as if he was still alive and angry at their disrespect. Frightened, the friends ran away immediately. Honestly, after seeing something like that, I'm sure they'll never dare mock anyone again. Spooky encounter. The officer was doing a routine road check late in the evening when something odd caught his eye. A car was parked right in the center of the road, its windows fogged up and the radio playing loudly. As he was inspecting the car, a pale hand appeared on the car for a brief moment. It lasted just a second, but left the officer speechless. He had no idea what he had just witnessed. Whatever it was, it didn't feel normal. Forest encounter. A group of policemen were inspecting the abandoned area for evidence of a robbery suspect late at night when an eerie, loud sound suddenly came from the woods. The noise was strange and unsettling, unlike anything they had ever heard before. Without a second thought, they turned and ran as fast as they could, not looking back. The sound seemed to follow them, but they didn't dare slow down. Their only focus was getting to safety, leaving the mystery of what caused the noise behind them in the darkness. Creepy girl. While checking an old abandoned tunnel, a policeman spotted what looked like a young girl sitting quietly in the dark. When he approached her, thinking she needed help, came the real surprise. It wasn't a girl at all. When she turned her head, her features shocked the guy. He didn't wait any longer and ran out of the tunnel. The girl was later described by the locals as the ghost of a girl who was once lost in the tunnel. Ghost customer. During a late-night shift, a security guard was seen on camera having a calm conversation at the entrance of the building. In the security room, two managers watching the live feed were confused. There was no one in front of him. They immediately contacted him through the radio and asked who he was talking to.
Yes, sir. Who are you talking to?
The guard replied it was an elderly lady who often came by. But when they told him that the cameras showed no one there, he froze. He looked back at the empty space where she had just stood. Without saying a word, he stepped away from the entrance and broke into a full run, leaving the building behind. The managers never forgot the look on his face before he disappeared into the night. Abandoned house mystery. It was a quiet evening when a cop noticed something strange outside his house. He glanced out the window and saw a dark figure standing perfectly still. The figure raised its hands, almost as if trying to make contact, but the man couldn't quite understand what he was seeing. Before he could react, the figure disappeared, vanishing without a sound. He shook his head, wondering if it was just a trick of the light. But moments later, the figure appeared again at a different window. A cold chill ran through him as he watched, unable to make sense of what was happening. Patrolling encounter. When a police officer was coming back from duty, his dash cam recorded a strange sight. It was a deserted road where a group of people dressed in white were circling around fire in complete silence. Confused and unsure of what he was seeing, he slowly drove closer. But the moment his headlights lit them up, the figure suddenly turned and began running straight toward his car. Startled, the officer quickly backed away. When he looked again, they were gone, vanished into the darkness. He searched the area, but found no trace. What he saw that night remains a mystery. Behind curtains. During a routine night walk, a police officer was startled by strange noises coming from a nearby house. His curiosity got the best of him, so he shined his flashlight at the window, hoping to see what was causing the sound. That's when he saw it. A pale, human-like figure standing behind the curtains, staring directly at him. The figure didn't move or make a sound, only continuing to watch him. After a tense moment, the officer quickly stepped back, trying to process what he had just seen. Despite his efforts to make sense of the situation, no one could explain the eerie figure, and the encounter left him with a deep sense of unease. Demonic possession.
Are you hurt?
A group of friends grew alarmed when one of their members began displaying strange behavior. Concerned, they called the police. When the officers arrived, they noticed the man's unsettling behavior immediately. His eyes were distant, and he moved in a way that seemed unnatural. While it wasn't a clear case of demonic possession, the officer recognized some signs of something more sinister. The man's erratic actions and strange presence made the officer uneasy. He knew this situation was far from normal, leaving the family and himself unsure of what to do next.
Hey, stop, right now.
Dark mystery. During a quiet walk near the fields, a police officer suddenly heard strange noises. Curious, he followed the sounds and found something that immediately set him on edge. A large, dark figure was circling around a man who looked like he was in trouble, desperate for help. The officer hesitated for a second, trying to gather his courage, but something inside urged him to act. He rushed in and helped the man, who was shaken and terrified. Afterward, the man said the figure was a demonic entity. The officer, still in disbelief, couldn't shake the eerie feeling that lingered long after the rescue. Girl on window. One police officer heard strange squeaking noise coming from outside his cabin. When he had a look outside, trying to figure out what was causing the sound, that's when he saw it. A pale, strange-looking girl standing just behind the curtains. Her pitch-black eyes stared at him with an unsettling expression, almost as if she wanted something. There was something about her that didn't feel right, like she wasn't from this world. The officer couldn't shake the feeling that she seemed lost, as if she belonged somewhere far beyond this place. The whole encounter left him shaken, unsure of what he had just witnessed, or who, or what she really was. Call to cemetery. There had been strange reports of unsettling noises coming from the local cemetery, so the police decided to check it out. As they approached the area, the air was thick with silence, making the whole situation feel even more eerie. But then, out of nowhere, a loud scream shattered the stillness. It was so high-pitched and haunting that it sent a wave of fear through them. In an instant, they ran back to their cars, hearts pounding. They couldn't explain it, and the cemetery felt even more mysterious after that night. No one went back after that. Police encounter entity.
Yeah, she just gotta go.
The officer had just stepped into Irene Bedard's house, ready to check on the strange things she had reported. As the voice behind Disney's Pocahontas, she wasn't someone who panicked easily. He asked her a few questions and calmly walked through each room. Nothing looked out of place until a scream echoed from her bedroom. It was Irene rushing out, clearly shaken. Just as the officer moved closer, something unusual happened. A dark, misty shape drifted out from her and sank into the floor without a sound. It wasn't a trick of the light. It moved with purpose. The officer stood still, unsure of what he had just seen. Until this day, no one knows what he spotted that day. Strange entity. A man had walked into his house, casually going about his evening. But as he reached for his room's door, something strange happened. A dark, shadowy figure suddenly appeared, grabbing him with an eerie force and pulling him inside. The man struggled, clearly trying to break free, but in a flash, he was gone from view. The footage was chilling, and nothing could explain it. No sign of the man, no trace of the figure. Just a strange, unsettling video. People could only hope that somehow the man had made it out safely, though the mystery remained unsolved. Policemen escape. This security footage is enough to leave anyone speechless. It shows a group of policemen, clearly terrified, running for their lives as a massive, alien-like creature with a huge tail chases them down. The creature moves with unsettling precision, as if it has its own plan. The officers scramble to escape, but the sheer size and speed of the creature make it clear they're no match for it. People who saw the footage had their own theories. Some believed it was the result of a government experiment gone wrong, while others wondered if it was something from another world, accidentally slipping into ours. Mirror creature. While exploring an abandoned house, a police officer decided to record a video, but what he caught on camera left him shaken. In the mirror behind him, a terrifying, witch-like figure slowly appeared, watching him silently. He froze, unable to comprehend what he was seeing. The eerie question lingered in his mind. Could mirrors truly be portals to another world? The idea that mirrors might be gateways to the unknown is a theme found in many paranormal stories across different cultures and chilling horror tales. Was it just a strange coincidence, or had he unknowingly captured something far more mysterious? Policeman meets black ghost. During a routine patrol, a cop was driving through a quiet area when he noticed something strange. As he slowed down, he saw a dark figure standing just outside his car, looking in through the half-open window. Its red eyes locked onto his, sending a chill down his spine. He quickly grabbed his phone and started recording, but before he could get a better shot, the figure vanished into the darkness. The video quickly spread online, and while some thought it was a prank, the officer was left wondering what he had really seen that night. Creepy encounter.
Ritual satanik.
Late at night, an Indonesian streamer went into the woods to explore a place known for unusual activities. He was live streaming to his audience as he went deeper, when he noticed a faint light ahead. Curious, he moved closer, and what he saw shocked him. Sitting among the flickering candlelight was a dark figure, and it looked as if some kind of sinister or possibly satanic ritual was happening. Terrified, he didn't stay a moment longer and immediately left the area. Honestly, I would say that was the right call.
Itu yang bertandu ya?
Unseen presence. Late at night, while working in the office, something strange happened. At first, one of the chairs moved a little on its own, but the workers ignored it and continued their tasks. A short while later, the chair slid across the floor completely by itself, and that's when they realized they weren't alone. Someone, or something, seemed to be controlling everything in the room. Terrified, they immediately left the office. Honestly, after experiencing something like that, I don't think any of them would ever dare take a night shift there again. Elementary school ghost. It was a quiet night in Nayarit when two officers stopped near an elementary school during their late shift. Around 3:00 a.m., something in one of the classroom windows caught their attention. Two small figures stood inside, completely still. They looked like children, but something felt off. The officers started recording, unsure of what they were seeing. The video, shared by a TikTok user, quickly went viral. Viewers guessed they were guards' kids, but the officers insisted. No feet, no faces, just eerie shapes staring back. That moment stayed with them. Impossible to forget. Swing ghost. Late one evening, a group of policemen was called to a park after locals reported something strange. When they arrived, they were taken aback by what they saw. Exercise equipment shaking and moving on its own. It wasn't just a little movement. It was as if something unseen was doing exercise on it. No one was around, and yet the equipment jerked and slammed against the ground. The officers were confused, trying to make sense of what was happening. All they knew was that what they were witnessing didn't feel right. They couldn't shake the feeling that something otherworldly was at play that night. Lady vanishing.
Here's my license, but this is my mom's car.
During a routine traffic stop, a police officer's body cam captured something truly bizarre. He had pulled over a woman for speeding, and as they were talking, everything seemed normal. But as the officer briefly looked away to check his notes, something strange happened. The woman vanished right in front of him. When he turned back to her, she was gone. Confused and startled, he immediately scanned the area, checking every corner, but there were no signs of her car or any trace of where she went. The officer was left standing there, unable to explain what he had just witnessed. The footage was later reviewed, leaving everyone who saw it just as baffled as the officer himself. Creepy car girl.
Ma'am? Ma'am?
During a routine patrol, a police officer noticed something disturbing in a parked car. Inside, a girl sat in the front seat, her body twisting in unnatural ways, almost as if she were possessed. The officer, feeling uneasy, immediately approached the car and tried to open the door, but it was locked from the inside. He knocked, calling out to her, but there was no response. The girl's strange movements continued, adding to the chilling scene. After a few tense moments, the officer stepped back to ask for backup, but when he returned, there was no girl, just an empty car.
Ma'am, this is a public street. Ma'am, you can't do that.
Creepy intruder. Locals had been whispering about a strange figure wandering around their neighborhood, so when the police were called to check it out, they weren't sure what to expect. As they approached one house, they saw it. Its face pressed against the net door, staring in. The creature had unsettlingly pale white eyes and a face twisted in a way that was almost unrecognizable. The officers stood still, unsure of what to do. Later, when the footage was shared, people began calling it a ghost, while others thought it looked more like a zombie. But whatever it was, no one could explain it. Child ghost. Police in Mentor, Ohio, were left scratching their heads after receiving reports of a child ghost running alone in the street late at night. Locals had shared photos and videos showing a mysterious shape darting around, making many wonder if the area was haunted. One concerned resident even called the police, describing a 7-year-old girl running quickly down the road. When an officer arrived, he reported seeing what looked like the child moving unnaturally fast. But as soon as he stepped out of his car to investigate, she was gone. When he checked his dashcam footage, there was no sign of the girl, leaving the officer puzzled and the town even more uneasy. Ghost patient. A chilling video from the Finochetti Sanatorium in Buenos Aires, Argentina, has stunned the internet. The CCTV footage, taken at around 3:00 a.m., shows the hospital's automatic sliding doors opening on their own, but no one is seen entering. However, the security guard appears to be interacting with someone, taking out a clipboard and even bringing over a wheelchair as if assisting a patient. The most unsettling part? The guard later claimed to have seen a tall woman enter and even wrote her name in the registry, yet the cameras show no trace of anyone. So, could it be a ghost or something even scarier? What do you think? Gin in shop. In Sana'a, Yemen, late one night, a man was playing about to close his shop when a mysterious woman entered the shop and questioned him about his beliefs and strange things. At first, her voice seemed normal, but soon it took on an eerie, unnerving tone. Despite his fear, he kept his composure and said goodbye. Later, when the man reviewed the footage, he was horrified to discover that she had hooves instead of human feet. He now believes that if he had been really lucky that the witch didn't attack him otherwise, things could have ended very differently. Witch outside house. A family had been hearing strange noises outside their house every night. Feeling a mix of curiosity and fear, they decided to set up a camera. What they captured left them frozen. An eerie woman standing right outside their door, staring directly at them. The town, known for its dark witch lore, had a history of witches believed to take children. Terrified, the family called the police. When the officers arrived, the woman was nowhere to be found. The cops, equally disturbed, checked the footage, but they too were baffled. No one was visible in the video, despite what the family had seen. Was it just a lost stranger, or something far darker? Barbershop ghost. Strange occurrences had been happening in this barbershop for a while, but they hadn't thought much of it. What they saw sent chills down their spines. A mannequin, which had been standing still for hours, suddenly moved on its own. No one had touched it, and no one had noticed at the time. But when they watched the footage back, they realized something eerie had happened. To make matters worse, the shop was built over an old Native American cemetery. The workers had never thought much about it until they saw that footage. They quickly contacted the police, but the officers couldn't offer any explanation. Shadow figure in home. An elderly woman had asked her neighbors to keep an eye on her vacant house while she was away. Everything seemed quiet at first, until one day, one of the neighbors started hearing strange noises coming from inside. Feeling uneasy but curious, she decided to take a look. As she stood by the front door and peeked through the glass, her heart skipped a beat. Inside, she saw a dark, shadowy figure moving in the empty house. Terrified, she quickly turned and left the spot. She called the police, but when they arrived, the house was empty, and no trace of anything unusual could be found. It left everyone wondering what really happened. Police captures dark figure. A neighbor had been noticing strange things happening at the house next door. The owners were away on vacation, and the house should have been empty. But something felt off. The garage light kept flickering, and it was making the neighbor uneasy. So they decided to start recording while they waited for the police. When the officers arrived, they weren't prepared for what they saw. As soon as they stepped onto the property, the light flickered again, and that's when they noticed it. A dark, shadowy figure moving quickly back and forth. There was no sign of anyone in the house, and no forced entry. Just a chilling presence that left the officers stunned and confused. Hospital demon.
No mames.
Two nurses, just casually recording each other at a hospital in Mexico, suddenly experienced something they'll never forget. While filming, a dark figure passed by a door in the background, so quickly that they could barely believe their eyes. They rushed over to check, but when they entered the operating room, it was completely empty. Still trying to process what they'd just witnessed, they froze when a medical table began moving on its own. When the officers arrived, they couldn't explain what had happened either. After checking the area, they left, just as unnerved and confused as the nurses. The mystery of that night remains unsolved. Taxi ghost. In the quiet town of Ishinomaki, a taxi driver picked up a woman late at night near the station. She wore a simple robe and quietly asked to go to Minamihama, an area no longer active after the tsunami. He paused, mentioned that the place had been left empty for a long time, but she said nothing more. Later, when the car reached a stop, he looked back to speak, but the seat was empty, no sound. No movement, just silence. Confused, he went to the local police outpost and told them what happened. The officer said this wasn't the first time such a report had come in. A few drivers had shared similar stories of someone vanishing mid-ride, always asking for that same abandoned part of town. Mimicking demon. A man had been hearing strange noises at night, soft knocks at the door, and a familiar voice calling his name. It sounded exactly like his old friend, a police officer who had recently moved away for work. At first, he thought it was just his mind playing tricks on him, but the voice kept returning, always around 3 a.m. Curious and unsettled, he decided to record the moment and waited by the door. The voice was there again. The knocks were real, and the figure outside, it sounded just like his friend. But the man hadn't been back in town for months. When he finally opened the door, no one was there. No face, no footsteps. Appalachian Mountain Encounter. A man living deep in the Appalachian Mountains woke up one night with an uneasy feeling. He glanced at his doorway, and something was there. A tall figure stood completely still, hidden in the shadows, just watching him. Without moving from bed, he quietly reached for his phone and hit record. Moments later, a strange whisper echoed through the room. It didn't sound right, low and broken, like it was mimicking speech. The next day, he showed the clip to a local officer. The deputy watched in silence, then asked to keep the footage. Whatever that was, it didn't belong in any home. Backyard ghost. On a quiet night, a security camera captured a strange sight, a shadowy figure with glowing eyes moving slowly around a house. At first, it seemed like someone was sneaking around, maybe a thief looking for a chance. But as the footage continued, it became obvious that this wasn't just any person. The way it moved was strange, almost robotic, as if it didn't belong. When the police arrived, they combed the area but found no sign of anyone. The officers were left shaken, unsure of what they had just seen. And like everyone else who watched the footage, they couldn't help but wonder, what exactly had been out there that night? Shadow mystery. This dog was barking at something behind a parked car when its attention suddenly shifted, as though it had sensed something moving nearby. Moments later, a shadowy figure appeared, darting quickly right in front of the dog. What made this even more bizarre was that only the figure's disembodied legs were visible, moving swiftly without a body attached. The dog, clearly agitated, kept barking, but there was no sign of what it was reacting to. When the police arrived to investigate, the figure had vanished without a trace. The eerie footage left both the officers and viewers questioning what had truly been caught on camera that night. Black entity in house. One evening, a woman was just relaxing at home when she started to feel something was off. Her curiosity got the best of her, so she decided to check it out. When she looked around, she was shocked to see a dark figure peeking from behind the wall. It barely moved, but it didn't look human. She stood there for a moment, unsure if her mind was playing tricks on her. Feeling a growing sense of unease, she quickly called the cops. By the time they arrived, the figure had disappeared, leaving her and the officers questioning what had really happened. Hand behind policewoman.
Kate is here. She's going to sit on the floor. We've got a chair.
These paranormal investigators set up their camera outside a haunted apartment, hoping to record something. There had been reports of strange activity, so they went in to check. One of the officers sat beside the camera, waiting in silence. After a while, she noticed something strange. A dark hand slowly emerging from the stairs, reaching out toward her. She grabbed the camera quickly to record the moment, but when she looked again, the hand had vanished. The area was completely empty, leaving the house feeling eerily still and unsettling.
Go now.
And now, let's move on to the subscriber's pick. A man was taking a quiet walk along the roadside when something unusual caught his eye. Across the street, a police officer stood frozen, pointing his gun toward the window of a nearby building. Curious, the man looked closer, expecting to see a person, but what he saw didn't look human at all. The figure inside moved upright like a person, but its shape was all wrong, more like an animal walking on two legs. Startled, the man asked the officer what was happening. The cop, still tense, admitted he had never seen anything like it before. He couldn't tell if it was a person in a costume or something else entirely. His voice was shaky as he said, "It might be a shapeshifter." The man left unsure of what he had just witnessed. And with that, see you next time.